Because it seems like such a key part of this whole thing. And so far, we've gotten like very vague things about stub accounts. Just try to be as specific as you can on how that actually happened.
So, and again, some of these are things I'm trying to piece together that I don't have the full answer to, but I think that part of it was, I believe that there was, correct FTX accounting, in terms of, the audited financials, but that at least I can say that when you sort of pulled up, on a dashboard, what the accounts look like, it would not have, it wouldn't have displayed, those transfers, and it wouldn't have displayed the balances related to those, which meant that it was, that the sort of what you would naively see as the relevant, as the relevant sort of position size was quite a bit smaller than what the full position size was.
Specifically, you're talking about the funds that went into Alameda that was credited to FT on the customer side on FTX. Yeah, you're saying that basically when you looked at your dashboard, Alameda was using those funds to trade perhaps, but that ultimately you couldn't see that on the Alameda side because there was some kind of an accounting problem where there was a mix-up with where it was credited. Is that the story?
Yeah, it's something roughly like that, or at the very least that the common displays of it did not include that piece of the accounting.
A real quick second follow-up. So I've talked to a few Alameda insiders, and I've kind of run them by your story of things. I think you probably are aware. I'm pretty skeptical, and one of them, when I told them, like, sort of like, could it be that Sam wouldn't know about this? Somebody who worked with you, and they actually, like, they laughed and they said, there's no way he's claiming to be stupid now when he was like this genius wonder kid. And so my sense of things is, how do you explain this? How do you explain the fact that some of the people who worked with you for years, your employees, have come out and said, there's no way he didn't know about these backdoors. There's no way he didn't know what Caroline was doing when you guys were very close. The offices were right next to each other. I mean, how do you expect us to believe this story you're spinning?
I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, I had a lot going on, and I was spread thin. I was a bit less grounded than I had been before, and I lost track of a lot of important things, and I think that those
hang on one second. I think spread thin is one thing, right? Like, I think things can get out of hand, but we're talking about a fundamental understanding of whether Alameda was commingling funds with FTX. I mean, I saw your Stephanopoulos and Sorkin interview, and you're pretty categorical that you had no idea that you were mingling funds. So that's what I'm asking about, not like, did you know exactly what was happening on November 7th or 8th? I mean, I can understand sort of things getting out of control, but we're talking about the most fundamental grasp on how your business worked. You're telling us you had no idea.
I was not aware of a lot of what was going on. I was vaguely aware that some of these systems existed. I had no details of them, and I was not spending much time and on looking at position risk management. It was a big mistake.
I mean, we're
right, Sam. I've just got guys. I've just got a DM. Sam has to leave. So guys,
wait. Can I, Mark? Can I ask
guys? All right, guys. I just got to end it, guys. So because Sam has been DMing me nonstop about having to leave, and I don't want to just drop out for the last 10 minutes, saying I have to leave. So Sam, the last question I wanna end it with is there's two camps right now. One camp is looking at this and saying, Sam. All right. So guys. So on one side, the audience, I'm looking at the comments, is like, hey, Sam is at least speaking despite lawyers telling him not to, and looking at this in a very positive light. On the other side, people are saying your answers are very calculated, you're dodging any tricky questions, and this is all part of a plan to paint yourself in a better light. And I do have to admit, there are some answers where they're very, very calculated, and you try to dodge them in one way or another. So to conclude it from my end, what's next? What's next for you in the next few weeks? What can we expect? And what can FTX customers expect? Because you did say that FTX US, they should be made whole. FTX International, I think 30 cents on the dollar. What can the people that were hurt by this, there's some comments about people, kind of hurts me to say this, but, talking about ending their life. And we've had some of these people on stage. What can they expect over the next few weeks and months? And that question is for Sam, just for all other panelists, please. Go ahead, Sam.
I mean, look, I'm incredibly sorry about what happened, and I know that doesn't change anything. I'm going to do what I can, even if that's not much. But at the end of the day, hopefully, hopefully there will be pathways that will be able to get more funds back for users. Hopefully there will be pathways that open up withdrawals where they can be, and that maximize the value ultimately that users can get. But, in the end, that's, a lot of that's not going to be up to me. I'm just going to try and be helpful where I can there. But I'm sorry.
Sam, you keep saying you can do what you can, what you're going to do as much as you can. You said it when the liquidator, when you went into chapter 11. I'm trying to understand in your head, what do you think you can do in your current position, given the fact that the liquidators on both sides, well, the liquidators on the US side have said that you're no longer involved and that you no longer speak on behalf of the company. And I genuinely believe that you really want to help. I'm just trying to understand in your head, when you talk about doing whatever you can and trying to do it, what do you think is in your hands?
I am sorry, I'm very late for my next call, so I do have to hop off now. But all I can do is I can be helpful to all the teams who want me to globally, and I'm going to continue to do that if and when I'm asked, and look for other ways over time that I can hopefully help contribute. But yeah, there's a limit to how much different groups are going to want me to, and I understand that.
Mario, can we keep the space open after Sam drops?
Yeah, we will. So after just for everyone, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Just want to say, because I know, Sam, you're just about to jump off. He just jumped off. So we do have insiders with important, we do have insiders with bombshell news. They've been investigating the matter for months, I think about 9 months. And they have a lot of findings, and they haven't mentioned earlier. They're coming on stage now. We're about to bring them up. So Romy will send you their details if you can invite them up. They will be sharing details that nobody knows yet. So that's something I've been talking to them for a long time, and they finally agreed to come on stage and share it. So they're about to come on stage. But yeah, Alex, you were saying?
I mean, I just wanted to say, it was a bit frustrating, to be honest, because I think Sam was running circles, frankly, around a lot of people on stage, and we should have been delving deeper. Two things in specific that he's doing, and I think everyone in the crowd needs to be aware of this, not just for this space, but for future media appearances. The first thing he's doing is he's basically taking advantage of all these complicated side narratives that don't matter. The only thing that matters was that he basically went and he misappropriated customer funds and basically took those funds and lent it to a hedge fund that he fully owned and then used FTT to back it up. And anytime he tries to get away from that, it's really important in these interviews that people dive deep, and we need people with domain knowledge on how exchanges work and how, frankly, finance works to keep digging on that, because we let him slither out of that way too much.
And any particular points, Alex, if you want to comment on particular points that were mentioned.
I highly agree with that, Alex. The way it was managed,
just
Alex, trying to go into deeper questions.
Hold on, guys.
But yes, go on.
Guys, yeah, Alex, do you want to continue just any specific points? And I'll get you speak, Chairman, right after, while we bring up the two special guests. Any specific points you want to mention for anyone listening? Specific lies that you want to address?
Yeah, so I mean, I pinned this tweet by Jesse, who obviously runs Kraken, and I think would have been a great person to keep drilling on that. But basically, when he actually started talking about how the margin trading system works at FTX, that just wasn't correct. He was basically saying that anyone could come in they could. I'm going to read Jesse's point because it's, I think, really valid, and it was literally what
please
I wanted
do,
to dig
please
into.
do.
So for everyone, please pin the top tweet and like and retweet that to get more visibility. But basically, he said that, okay, how the exchange worked was that it was a net account equity model. So people could borrow against client funds, right? And then he would print FTT, which is a vapor token, against it, okay? And then he said, if the quote Sam said was, if you add it all up and you counted the negative balances as 100% recoverable, then we were fully solvent. That makes no sense. You can't just go borrow like 10,000 worth of Bitcoin and then print FTT against that to collateralize it and then say that you're fully solvent. That is fraud. And like, that was like the problem that like he keeps slithering away from, in my opinion. And like, frankly, that's the only thing that matters. Like, yes, all these side things that he's doing with regulators or all these other aspects are problematic, but that is where the fraud lies.
Well, I mean, I think
Alex is absolutely right. I just want to say real quick, I don't know who said like, oh, I believe you have like good intentions here. SBF has only one intention, which is to save himself from jail. Let's all keep an eye on that, because if you want to read into his statements, everything is said with the idea that he's trying to paint a narrative of himself, that he made an embarrassing mistake, that although he's this genius who went to these top tier Ivy League schools, worked on Jane Street, wooed everybody from BlackRock to Sequoia, all of a sudden he's an idiot the second he's committed fraud, right? We're supposed to believe he didn't know what was going on the company he started and ran for years. We're supposed to believe he didn't know what was going on right across the street. I mean, how stupid do we have to believe a narrative like that? It's completely insane. But people are like kissing his ass saying, oh, I believe you're doing the right thing. No, he's done enough. He's helped enough. He needs to take a sideline. He needs to go to jail, and people need to get whatever pennies they're going to get back from this whole thing. He's lied from the very beginning. I'm like shocked by the credulity people have in relation to this guy. They just like suck up whatever he's saying. Nearly everything out of this guy's mouth is a lie, except where it lines up with him not going to jail, and then he might tell the truth. But every single thing he says is with the aim of not going to jail, and everyone needs to remember that.
I don't know if you were there in the beginning.
I would like to add something to that, if I may. I would like to add that I'm disappointed how this whole thing was set up, because my first question and how throwing everyone else under the bus.
Sorry, go back. You dropped out for like 4 or 5 seconds. Can you go back 4 or 5 seconds? What you're saying?
Yeah. So I'm disappointed how this whole thing was running, because my first question went right to the meat of it, where he is basically saying he had no idea what happened with customer funds, and he's throwing Caroline under the bus and his partners under the bus, and I was muted, moved down, and removed as a speaker, and there was such a crucial question. And then Mario, I sent you a couple of important questions that you said you would ask, and you never did. And then you said, when you are done with your questions, we get to ask him questions. But at the end, you said there's only 5 to 10 minutes left. It's really not nice how this whole thing was managed, because there were so many important questions that were left unanswered, and I'm really
Bro, I do, Kim. I've got. You know how many people telling me on the panel? I've got more important questions that are unanswered. I don't have 5 hours to ask all the questions. I think we did a better job. If you go back to New York Times, if you go back to Good Morning America, compare these questions to the questions they asked and the fluff pieces they had. So we tried our best, considering the amount of speakers I wanted to ask questions. I have 50 questions. I asked 5 of them, considering there's only so many I can ask. So Chet does a lot of interrogations. Yeah. So he was trying to pin him on a few things as well. Rand had great questions and brought questions from BitBoy as well. So I think, all of us have more questions. I have more questions I'm annoyed I couldn't ask as well. So it's something that, it's a point that we can all make.
But guys, I think to Coffee's point, we got him to admit that the money was double accounted for in Alameda and on FTX. He literally admitted it when I asked him the question. I said to him, is it possible that people were depositing money into Alameda, no money was flowing between FTX and Alameda, and people were trading as if they had money, and therefore you were double accounting on the money? And he pretty much said, yeah, that could have happened. That is probably what happened. I mean, beyond that point, he admitted that Alameda was taking money and they were crediting people on FTX. And then Alameda was still using the money. So they pretty much were creating fake money on FTX. He admitted it. Go back. I've got this thing on YouTube. I'm going to cut out that.
Rand kept taking it back to that key point, and we did get to the key point, which is that the spot and futures were commingled. And the bit that Jesse was trying to, that we found out afterwards, is that these margin positions are you simply lending your Bitcoin to somebody, and somebody, these are matched up on an order book peer to peer. So we got the key thing out, which is that it was all commingled. It was a mess, and there was no.
There's Spot, and he said that Spot. I made him agree to two things. One is that Alameda and FTX were commingled, and not only that they were duplicating funds. So you would put your money into Alameda, and you would get $1 would be deposited into Alameda, and that dollar would reflect as a $1 balance on your account. But the money wouldn't flow from Alameda into FTX, which means that every time money came in, you were basically funding Sam Bankman-Fried's hedge fund while he was crediting you with fake money on the exchange. He admitted to that. The second thing that he admitted was that there was no separation between spot clients and futures clients, which means that effectively there was commingling of funds, and that is a fraud. That's a fraud in any country. That's a fraud in Bahamas. It's a fraud in the USA. It's a fraud anywhere in the world. That's the second thing that's the second thing that he admitted. So I think we pretty much got out of him 80% of what went wrong here. 80% of what went wrong here, we've pretty much got, and he admitted.
I wanted to dig more into the fiat Silvergate, whether it was issuing stable coins, because I didn't fully get all of that. Did you get it all?
No, I think, yeah.
Because he was talking about how made it was just a gateway for fiat, but then how does that relate to all the
Ran, just quickly, Ran, your co-host, I have a glitch. Can you check the speaker's request and bring up Hussein? He's the person.
I have invited Hussein, and what it says on my side is it says it's asking me if I want to cancel the invite. I can try again.
Okay, yeah. So there's Nick Pett, and then I'll send you the two handles. So they're the two people that were investigating FT.
All right. I think we'll leave it there for that stream. It sounds like the whole thing's going to get put up on YouTube anyway, so you can catch the entire thing. So, yeah, with enough of that, I suppose, and let's dive straight into the usual stuff, the usual stream. Yeah, the SBF saga and scandal just seems to keep going and going and going. People looking for answers. If you've been affected by it, totally understandable if you want to find out more. So, but anyway, let me jump into Bitcoin here. So I was saying before my stream died earlier, sorry about that, connection issues, but we were looking at, let's see, yesterday's candle started around here. So we've just started a new one. We're 5 minutes into the day. So it is now the 2nd of December. And not so long ago, we pulled in a brand new high right up here, right? 17,324. So using a Fibonacci extension, which I was describing earlier, let me grab that. It's basically this low, this high, and then pulled back to this low here. You can see that that target got hit pretty much to the dollar. It's not 100% perfect, but it's pretty damn close. You can see the gap there. It didn't quite make it, but if you recall from yesterday's stream, I said you would likely see a target hit at around 17,300, which pretty much, if you did set up a short or take profit at that level, you got filled. You got your order filled, so that's excellent. Let's delete that. And now we're looking at, is this level that we've pulled in here, is that going to hold and maintain as support? So now just looking at the candle patterns here, you can see that it is a hammer of sorts. So that's a good start to see, the momentum change here to another swing up. Now we're back under 17,000, which is a fairly key level at the moment. You know, big round number. So getting back up on top of that's going to be, you know, the next major challenge, I suppose, because, you know, there's every chance that we could pull in a lower high here. Even if we do wick up through 17, we could form a head and shoulders, which would push us back down, likely to the bottom of this channel. You can see a retest could be on the cards. Like, it may even land right there, which is the top side of this trend line here. And if you find support there, that would be confluence with the support of the bottom of this orange ascending channel that I have drawn in. So that may be how things play out in the next couple of days. But for now, yeah, I mean, let's just, you know, let's not say something is going to happen. Let's just wait for confirmation. So the first thing, we are sort of squeezing between resistance at 17,000 and support of this sort of trend coming up here as well. So we've got these lows that have created somewhat of a trend line. Just gonna make that a bit narrower. Okay, so we're sort of caught between here, and we're squeezing down, and we just want to see what's going to break. Are we going to break resistance, or are we going to break support? You know, support to go down. I know a lot of people are in a short. Taking a short at 17,300 would have been awesome. Who knows how much you're going to get out of that short, but it's already gone 2.5% down, which is cool. But as far as oscillators go, you can see on the cipher indicator here, we've got a downswing. So this blue momentum wave coming down, and it's signaling a change in direction. So we've got a small buy signal there. And you can see, you know, just comparing those signals, we've got a really big fat green buy signal here, which ended up, you know, resulting in a really good move up. So that was on point. Not to mention we had, you know, divergence as well with that move. So let's jump out to the 4-hour chart. I just want to see what kind of levels of resistance we're dealing with still. If we're going to call this like an Elliott wave structure, you know, this being wave 1, and then an ABC correction, so A, B, and then C. So that's wave 2, and then wave 3 was this impulsive move. Now, this wave 3 may not have finished yet. So, you know, this slight pullback may just be like a momentary pause in that impulse, I suppose you could say. However, if it's not, that's, you know, we can start measuring out potentially our 5th wave, which is usually shorter than wave 3. So to do that, you take the low to the high, and then, you know, assuming that this is the low here, a 1-to-1 extension from this point would bring us up to $18,180. So now that's a fairly ambitious target there. So that makes me think that perhaps this move is not complete yet, this pullback. So, I mean, a more reasonable or more conservative target would be the 0.618 fib level, which is 17,670 odd. So that would, you know, basically cause a rally to come up and wick up to that spot before finding resistance. But yeah, Elliott wave's not my strongest skill. I feel like there are a lot of variables at play with Elliott wave, and you can sort of change the goalposts a bit. and it's I don't tend to lean too much into it, but yeah, it's nice to sort of have some understanding of it. As far as RSI goes, we did reach an overbought area on the 4-hour chart roughly, and we have had a Doge pack signal to enter a short with that change in color there on the EMA. Not to mention we had a signal to sell here on the divergence indicator, the cipher indicator. So that would have been, on or around this candle, or even if you got in late, it was on this green candle here to short. So until we see, the momentum shift again, it does look like we're in like a corrective path at the moment. So yeah, this hammer, I don't know if it's going to produce much. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, my hunch is that we have tagged the top of the channel, and there's still a fair chance that we could come back through and come back to look for a test of the bottom of the channel as well. So just trying to keep it real, just trying to weigh up both sides there, the bull and bear scenario. And I think when you're doing your analysis, you always have to I guess what's the word? You have to give respect to both sides of the argument. So, and that's why we have stop losses, of course, in case our hypothesis is wrong, in case our theory is wrong about the direction. So I'm going to check out a couple of the altcoins. Let's just quickly breeze over the dollar index. So the dollar index is still, pulling in low figures there. It had a severe drop, so we've pulled in a new low. Let me go to the hour chart. Yeah, okay, so when did this happen? Yesterday. Okay, so we're definitely down on the dollar index, which is excellent. Now this support level here, this dotted white line that price is currently sitting at, is this major pivot back in August that we found support on, which is all part of the parabolic structure that DXY was riding, which has since been broken, and we've been looking for that to break. Now that parabol or parabolic move has been in play since the start of last year. So the entire bull run of crypto had the dollar index like threatening to climb up, and it really got things started this year, 2022, with the interest rate hikes and everything. So yeah, I'm just happy that it seems to have got under control for now. Hopefully it doesn't find support here and do like a double bottom with this one. Hopefully it doesn't find that double bottom and then start to rally back up and recover. That would mean that, that would be a scenario where inflation goes back out of control again, and everyone hides back into the dollar. But let's see it for what it is. It's definitely on a downtrend. Lower highs, lower lows, knocking on the door of support here. I'm going to ask you guys a question. I'm going to start a poll here. Do you think the DXY will break the support at 104.6? Alright, so cast your votes. Do you think we're going to break it, or do you think we're going to hold and move higher? just remember to consider, in less than 2 weeks, we've got the brand new CPI figures coming out. And we've also got the FOMC meeting that where they actually release their federal funds rate. So they're going to be, letting us know what kind of increase to the interest rates they're going to have or make. So I think a number that's been thrown around is they're going to, instead of taking it up 75 basis points like last time, they're going to only increase by 50 basis points. So that's the sort of early forecast we've heard about. Now, time frame for breaking. Well, if we break the support, if we lose it, it could be any moment, really, to be honest, because we're at it right now. It could be within the next 24 hours. I think we'll see a lot of movement perhaps when the stock market opens in, what's that, probably like about 14 hours time, because it only just closed a couple of hours ago. But yeah, the Friday session, the last day of the trading for the stock market for this week, is going to be, it's going to be pretty interesting. Let me open up. Just quickly, let's check out the SPY. So the S&P. I'll open up the futures chart, which would still be moving, I think. Yeah, okay. So if I go out onto the daily and zoom out, you can see that we've hit this line of resistance. And it's great to see, like in the stock market, I feel like trends tend to be respected a lot more, like especially these high-term trend lines. So you can almost count on them to hold or, cause resistance unless something major, comes out of the woodwork and causes a break in that trend. But yeah, like much like there was this support here, we did eventually find a retest, which was very dirty. Like it was a very dirty retest. Everything was wicking down below it. So, no doubt, perhaps people that took long positions in this area and didn't take profit on that high, maybe they had stop losses, banked up below the previous swing low. So, or the people that entered longs expecting a double bottom, during these days here before the support got broken, opening a long here wouldn't have been a bad idea. But, you'd want to have your stop loss set in case a new low is formed, which is what all of this activity might have done, is to hunt that liquidity, hunt those stops before moving up again. So, still in this rising wedge pattern, which is, a textbook bearish pattern. So let's see if we can break this structure and move up and invalidate that rising wedge, because we know that this rising wedge here played out textbook. We fell out of it and ended up, pulling in a new low. So yeah, that's the S&P. Let's jump over to Dogecoin, everyone's favorite crypto in this community. And fair enough, it's a high performer in the right conditions. At least over the last 2 to 3 years have proven. So we've got, support seems to be found at 10 cents here. So this seems to be like somewhat of a, at least medium term or short term base of price structure. So got a lot of examples of support at this level, which is great. Now, if you zoom out a bit, you can see that we're in somewhat of a rising wedge as well, which is textbook bearish, right? But yeah, I guess a lot of it is obviously depending on Bitcoin and how it's going to perform over the coming days. And, leading into that next FOMC meeting with the interest rates and the inflation data. All right. So, yeah, yesterday ended up being a red day. I remember I polled you guys about it. And I think the majority of us said green. And only a few people said that it was going to be a red day. So, yes, it did end up being a red day pullback. Bitcoin closed out at down 1%, down 1.09%. We are 22 minutes into the current day, so we haven't really made any ground just yet, still early. If I jump down to the hourly chart, yeah, you can see we're sort of deciding whether we're going to punch up above 17 or continue this this possible correction. So let me catch up with the chat here. So there's 20 people in here. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Crypto Down Under. If you haven't visited before, remember to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Though I'm sure, like, lately, most of you guys are OGs of this channel, so yeah, I haven't seen many new subscribers come out of the woodwork just yet. I think that'll happen when the trend really starts to pick up in the market. Because at the moment, we're still very much... Let me go out to the daily and zoom out. We're still very much in a bear market. There's no sign of like a change in that just yet. But the velocity has slowed right down, if you've noticed that. So the initial drop, high velocity, very fast, very distant move, right? And then, second drop, still violent, but not as severe, or, taking a little longer perhaps. Just analyzing it here, they do look quite, now that I've looked at it again, they look quite similar, right? Got like an equal distance. Let me measure that out. So a drop from here to there, if we were to duplicate that, yeah, we definitely pulled in a shorter drawdown, and it took a little longer too, so just slightly longer, but they do look similar. But yeah, the velocity has certainly slowed down a lot, and you can see it's like rounding out, so that's a good sign. At least for this point in time. Let me draw an arc. Let me hide some of these lines just so you can see it a bit clearer. Got a parallel channel we can hide. Alright, so if I get an arc or a curve tool, and I just start it from like up here, say, like the all-time high, the lows of the all-time high, to like now, we just want to get like this curve representing support. So it looks somewhat like that. You can see it's starting to slow down. Yeah, sometimes it's very hard to get these to line up perfectly, but trying to get that wick there to be incorporated in the curve too. Perhaps it's impossible to get all points touching perfectly, but for the most part, if we ignore that very violent wick, the price structure follows this kind of an arc. You get a lot of representation of the arc on price through these lows here and these lows, and this pivot, and then where we currently are on price. Let me highlight the arc. We'll make this really wide so that you can see. Make it a different color, like green perhaps. Put that in. So Yeah, this is looking like you know, the velocity of the drop is definitely slowing down, and there's hints that we're finding some kind of a floor. Who knows where the perfect bottom's going to be, but you know, there's a fair chance we've already seen it. I know I certainly got a few buys in at you know, below 16,000, which I was happy to pick up. Even if we do fall below 16, you know, I think these prices in the long run are still really good for you know, if you're building a really long-term position. But yeah, not financial advice as always. It's just, you know, my opinion on how things are looking and where support seems to be being found. So yeah, there's no doubt about it. This does look very inverse head and shoulders. You know, you've got massive drop, a pivot here, a neckline there, the head down here, further neckline, higher shoulder, like higher low, pausing the right shoulder, and then, you know, this is the implied direction of that. Now I know that that is excluding this low, so, you know, even if you do want to include that low, this is still technically an inverse head and shoulders because it is a higher point in price than this low down here. Just so it's not dramatically lower, but you know, it is lower nonetheless. So that has all the hallmarks of an inverse head and shoulders, which is a reversal pattern. So, you know, this you know, dare I say it, this could be the low of the market. This could be the bottom. We may have seen it already. You know, if things continue to develop in an optimistic fashion in the global economic environment, yeah, I can see a good case for a recovery here. At least, you know, if the bull run doesn't begin, at least we get some kind of you know, medium-term relief rally, especially off the back of this FTX drop that we pulled in. So yeah, that's pretty much where my mind's at with analysis at the moment for Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin is still the king. It's been that way since crypto has been around, and there's, you know, there's been little hints and threats of the dominance falling and everything, but yeah, Bitcoin still has the crown there. Let me see. You know, Bitcoin may be female. Maybe it's a queen. Bitcoin's still the queen. Let's check out the Bitcoin dominance chart because that'll be interesting. So we've actually we've come off the back of a real big sharp collapse on dominance. We got down to 39.8%, and we are recovering some of that market share again. So we're back up to 40.3%. Now, back in when Bitcoin dropped severely, a lot of the altcoins lost a hell of a lot of their value and their market share. So that's where you saw this big spike in dominance come back for Bitcoin, getting up just above 48% dominant. So yeah, it does seem that there's a fairly long-term level of support that Bitcoin seems to pull in as far as dominance is concerned. And that's, you know, it doesn't seem to go too much lower than 39%. You know, we have had lows come in as low as 30, like, you know, high 35s. So yeah, that is a massive chunk of the market. You know, it almost has half of the market is Bitcoin, right? So that's how important it is. That's how important Bitcoin is to look at when you're trying to get an idea and gauge where crypto's heading as a whole. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware of that already, of the influence that Bitcoin has over the market and the altcoins. Having said that, though, you still get performance like every now and then out of the alts that goes outside of the influence of Bitcoin. It doesn't last generally for a very long time, but you can still get a day or two or a few days of a pump outside of the ordinary trending of Bitcoin. So let me go to the tether charts here on Binance. Just want to see if there's anything that's pulling up today. CTX, SFP, Luna Classic is up 1.5%. That's not that impressive, to be honest. But yeah, this CTX, okay, CTX up 4.5%. I think that's only on Gemini, and I'm not too sure what it's all about, but hey, it's up. Let me check my Bybit list as well. This SPF, I'm not sure what SPF's all about, but in the last hour, it's on a bit of a tear here. It's going up. Let's check the daily and zoom right out. Okay, so that got listed late last year on Bybit, and it looks like it found somewhat of a floor at 25 cents there. So in that level, I'll have to do a bit of like fundamental analysis on SPF SFP, sorry, at some point. Yeah, SFP sunscreen, right. But yeah, other than that, it's the market hasn't really kicked off just yet for this new daily candle. Let's go back to our top 20 list here. BNB. Yeah. It was on, it was approaching like a full recovery there, like it was on its way from the FTX collapse, but since then it has found some kind of resistance, and it's not doing that great. I think as more people come off central exchanges and hide on decentralized exchanges or in their hardware wallets until they get their confidence back, maybe BNB is going to like feel a bit of that pain and not get as much action, not as much trading volume in the coming weeks perhaps. But yeah, we're still feeling like the ripple effect or the fallout of the collapse in FTX and people not trusting central exchanges at the moment. So yeah, that will pass. We've been through this before. The big examples, Mt. Gox, that shook the whole crypto community. A lot of people had a lot of fear and doubt. There was another hack on Bitfinex, but they came out of that okay. They didn't have to file for bankruptcy or anything. They were able to come back and bounce back from that hack, and they are still they're still a thing, I believe. Let me just double check that though. I don't use it myself. Yeah, you can still visit Bitfinex. It's still a working platform. So Bitfinex, yeah, Finex is where the original whales swim. Yeah. So anyway, guys, I think probably going to wrap it up there. I think there's going to be a lot more to talk about in tomorrow's stream when we get the Friday action underway. So until then, I don't know, perhaps as soon as I jump off the stream, maybe that's going to get things moving. It's happened before many times where I've finished the stream and then within half an hour you get this huge candle in either direction. So yeah, let me hop off, and thanks again guys for jumping in, and showing your support for the stream. I know it's only a few of us at the moment, which is pretty typical of a bear market, but yeah, I'll keep trying to jump on and do like a daily stream around the candle close of each day, and we'll see where we head, see where we go. All right, thanks guys, appreciate it. Smash the like before you leave, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.